Hi friends, hello, hi, how are you? Hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Okay, so we're doing like the weekly drama roundup situation, but this is actually going to be more of a my thoughts style video. A lot of things happened this week that were little that I definitely could have thrown into something like this, but there were two big events that I'm sure you guys know about that I really wanted to talk about and give my opinions and give my thoughts on them, and just kind of talk to you guys about them and figure out your opinions as well, because I think it's kind of two situations that like they're in the beauty community and they're in the kind of YouTube community. They're also very reflective of more macro level issues that we see outside of the YouTube community. So I just like to talk about them and hopefully you guys will talk about them with me. So the first thing, if you're like new to these videos, which I know sometimes people are, I'm going to be doing a get ready with me while I do this because that's just what I do here. Hi. All right, so I guess the first thing we could talk about is let's talk about Kat Von D first. Because I think that one's like the newest thing that's happened and it's interesting. So let's just do a quick rundown of what's been going on in the Kat Von D world. So last year around the summertime, she came out as an anti-vaxxer. And I know in her video that she just posted, she kind of claims that it was like an accidental Instagram comment where, you know, she didn't really mean to say what she said, but that's like not true. Which is not what happened. The original commenter, if I'm remembering correctly, basically said to Kat, like, just make sure you look into vaccines because they aren't vegan. And Kat was like, oh, I'm not vaccinating my child at all. And that was like one comment in an Instagram post, and people found that, and obviously people like went crazy. Because the thing is, and I remember because I made a video about the Kat Von D situation back then, and I still get comments on that video from people who are anti-vax, and they really are like, do your research, you just blindly follow the government and believe whatever they tell you, and like you're just a sheep and like whatever. The thing about anti-vaxxing is that it's becoming a really big issue. If you don't follow kind of what's been going on, there have been cases of like tetanus that lasted like 50 days, and it was the first case in like 50 years because the parents refused to vaccinate their kid. Even in my own county, there was an outbreak of measles. It's kind of like, this is like a real thing. Like, I know people like to joke about the anti-vax thing or whatever, but it's a real problem. Parents not vaccinating their children is starting to become an actual issue because all it takes is one parent in one community to not do that and want a vaccine. And I know people are like, well, if everyone else gets vaccinated, one parent isn't going to make a difference or whatever. Not vaccinating their kid because everyone else, they're going to be protected by herd immunity. And I'm like, okay, vaccines are preventative. They're not a foolproof thing. Like, vaccines could not work on certain people. The flu shot doesn't work for everybody. There are very few medicines that are universal to every single person. So all it really takes is one person doing the right thing and getting vaccinated, and one person doing the wrong thing. And I'm going to talk about it from right or wrong because I personally, in my opinion, not vaccinating your kids is wrong. It's a wrong thing to do. I've worked with kids. I worked in daycare. Like, it's wrong. You vaccinate your kids. All it takes is one kid to not get vaccinated to start an entire outbreak of something. They're actually thinking about passing a law in New York, where I live, that you can't like not vaccinate if you want your kid to go to public school, which is hard for me. This is separate from Kat Von D. We're gonna talk about Kat Von D in a second, but I wanna talk about the whole thing with vaccinations first because it's such an issue, and I don't think people grasp like the seriousness that like we cured these diseases and people are still dying from them, and that's ridiculous. They may be passing a law that regardless of religious beliefs, you have to vaccinate your kids anyway. And I think that is kind of just sucks and is kind of sad. Not because I think people should vaccinate, but I think there genuinely are people who their cultural beliefs go against that. We talk a lot in my social work classes about having different cultures and how different cultures believe different things, and it's not really right to impose your views on a culture. Even if you don't agree with it or don't understand it, that's still their culture. They have to work that out for themselves. It's not the place of somebody else to come in and say, well, your culture's stupid and wrong. I do think it's wrong and I don't agree with it, but for some people, that's their culture, and I don't know how I feel about a law forcing people to do something that's against, and the only reason they're making that law is because so many parents like Kat Von D that aren't doing it for religious reasons, that are doing it because they believe in this fake science of it causes autism and all this bullshit. I'm already swearing and mad. But because of people like Kat Von D, who in order to get around that you have to vaccinate their kids, they say it's for, in schools, say it's for religious reasons. That's the only reason this is happening. So those people are hurting the system too. Because now the people that actually have religious beliefs that makes it so they don't want to vaccinate, that might be affected by them because of people like Kat Von D. So Kat Von D basically said that she's not going to be vaccinating. Number one, I'm pretty sure she said she was going to keep her kid on a vegan diet, which I know a lot of parents were concerned about. And basically said her and her husband had done their own research and that they were going to be basing it off of that. And then back in the summer, when everything kind of blew up, she made this big post about how as a new mother, everybody's giving you advice and blah, blah, blah. And like, you don't have to take that. And like, she's going to make the decision she wants to make. And basically was like, I'm not vaccinating my kid. Flash forward to now, I'm pretty sure when that all happened, there was a lot of outcry of people being like, okay, I'm boycotting Kat Von D. And I was one of those people, and I remain one of those people. But I think what Kat Von D didn't account for was people being serious. I think these brand owners, and this is kind of where I understand the point of cancel culture, because I think brands get canceled a lot and people don't actually mean it. Like, they don't vote with their wallets, they don't talk with their wallets, they still buy from the brand. And it allows brands to think that it's okay, they can just get away with this stuff because within the age of social media and the age of how the makeup industry is now, there's going to be a new scandal next week that's going to take the attention away from something like what Kat Von D did. This is a rare instance where that hasn't happened. We're months and months and months later, because that was last summer. We're almost a year later now. It was in, I think, June or July of last summer. We're kind of at the tail end of that now. And her brand is not doing okay. Like, her brand is not thriving. Her brand, from what I can see from just an outsider perspective, all of her stuff goes on sale basically immediately. Her stuff isn't selling. It's immediately getting sent to TJ Maxx and Marshalls. It's not doing well. If you look under Trend Mood's comment section, it's terrible. People who are aware of what happened don't buy from her anymore, and it hasn't stopped. Even if like a person uses Kat Von D or gets sponsored by Kat Von D, it's immediately posted on all these different forums being like, what is this person doing supporting this person? The outcry against Kat Von D and the consistent outcry against her has been insane. That's kind of what happened. And on top of that, after the anti-vax thing happened, I think it became, I know some people had already known about it, but I didn't know about it until after the anti-vax thing. Apparently, she's also had a history of doing things that are anti-Semitic, including there was an incident with a photograph that I'll explain in a minute, and there's also been instances of her associating with people who are known anti-Semites. So that whole thing happened too, and then people were double like, well, F you, Kat Von D, like, we're not supporting you. So flash forward to the other day when she posted a video to her YouTube channel titled, I am not an anti-Semite and I am not an anti-vaxxer. We're gonna start with the first part of the video where she talked about not being an anti-Semite. The first thing she talked about was this incident that happened a few years ago where one of her former co-stars on like Miami Ink, I think it was a tattoo show, accused her of leaving him a picture that was her picture that had like a swastika on it and had her signature, I guess, allegedly, and had like an anti-Semitic phrasing on it. And so she talked about that. And she basically explained the story that the guy that she was on the show with that alleged she wrote the picture had actually been incredibly abusive towards her on the show, made the working environment really tough. At one point, she alleges that he sexually assaulted her and grabbed her boobs and, you know, got really drunk and tried to, you know, do stuff. And she says she has a lot of trauma from that time. And then said that he made up the picture because he was jealous of her. Here's the thing. So I'm going to be totally honest in that I am usually very much I tend to believe people when they accuse someone of sexual assault. I know there are people that lie about stuff like that, but according to statistically, only 2% of actually reported sexual assault cases are lies. You can look it up. That's a statistic. That's a fact. So I think for me, when I hear something like that, especially in, you know, Hollywood and how everything that we've been finding out about the corruption there, I tend to believe that. I believe that maybe something bad happened to her there. And I believe that. And it makes me sad if that is true, if that happened to her, because that's heartbreaking. That's really sad. However, and this is a big however, because that is heartbreaking. It's horrifying that in a professional setting she would be treated that way. I know that the skepticism is going to be, well, she's never talked about this before, which is true. She's never really addressed the picture thing before. And it seems a little bit of a convenient excuse for that picture. At at the end of the day, none of us were there when all of this happened. So like, I can't say if she wrote that picture or if she didn't. Like, I can't speculate to that. The only people that can are the people that were there. And it seems like some really bad stuff was going down one way or the other between the two. It seems like there was a lot of animosity between the two people. So they're both going to have their version of events, and I think they're both going to be very different. I don't think we'll ever truly know what happened with the picture. However, I found it very, very, very interesting that in that video, she did not once mention that another reason people think she's anti-Semitic is because of her association with people who have been known to be anti-Semitic in the past. She has ex-boyfriends who were anti-Semitic. She has her current husband. It's been speculated that he is anti-Semitic, and I think to not address that is telling, because it kind of makes it seem like you can't explain that away, so you're just ignoring it. Like, nobody can say whether she wrote that picture or not. Like, that's a total speculation. But we can say that she's dated multiple people who have done things that are anti-Semitic. That's something you should have addressed as well, I think, because I know people are always like, well, you know, you're not who you're married to, you're not who you hang out with, and like, that's kind of true, but that's also kind of not true. If you can excuse somebody who's anti-Semitic enough to date or marry them, or even just to be friends with them, if you can excuse that behavior enough, at a certain point you also have those beliefs at some place in you, or you just somehow never talked about them and it never came up, which I don't believe. I know people say like, well, you're not responsible for what your spouse or your partner does, and you're not to a certain extent. But when it's something like that where it's a belief and it's a pattern of people you're hanging out with, and that's a belief and they're known publicly to be that way, I have to question your intentions as well. Because either you believe what they believe and you're anti-Semitic too, or you don't believe what they believe, but you're okay with them thinking that they believe that. Wait, did that make sense? You either believe what they believe, which you believe in white supremacy, you believe in anti-Semitic values, or you don't believe in it, but you're okay with them believing it enough to date them. And both of those things are wrong. So I'm surprised she didn't address that at all. Actually, I'm not surprised. It's perfect sense that she wouldn't address that because she can't explain that part. I also found it interesting in the video that she talked about how she's like Latina, as if being white passing wouldn't make it easier to have those, as like that whole thing was irrelevant. Her being like, I'm a woman, I'm Latina. It's like, well, that doesn't mean you can't also be anti-Semitic and have really bad values. She then went on to talk about the anti-vaxxer thing, which she basically just said that she's still not vaccinating her child and she wants us all to shut up. That's what I took from that, because she was like, she chose her words very carefully. She said when she was a new mother, she read literature and was going through a process of debating not vaccinating, and that after consulting with her doctor, she's gonna do what's right for her child. But she didn't say after consulting with a doctor, I'm going to vaccinate my child. She said she's consulting with her doctor and she's keeping the vaccination records private. So it's pretty clear she's not vaccinating her kid, which is like, it's like, I understand not wanting to like release the records or whatever, but don't put in the title that you're like, I am not anti-vax, and then in the video be like, I'm still anti-vax, I just want you to still buy my makeup. And that's what I think it comes down to. And that's kind of what the bigger issue is for me of this whole entire situation, is that she didn't make this video because she really wanted to clear her name, because she really felt like she really wanted to clear it up that no, she doesn't believe in those things. No, she doesn't think her audience shouldn't vaccinate their children because it's a dangerous mindset. She didn't make this video for that reason. She made this video because her sales suck and her makeup brand is dying. Because if she cared, she would have cleared up that anti-Semite thing so much earlier. I mean, this happened like years and years and years ago. She would have not, instead of, and I feel like people who are buying the whole like, oh, I vaccinate now, are like not forgetting the whole Instagram post she made where she basically told everyone to fuck off, and excuse my French, but she told everyone to fuck off and was like, I'm gonna do what I want with my child. And and she compared, like, she basically said that she was only getting criticism for this because she's a vegan, which is not at all the case. Oh my god, that was a mess. I'm like remembering that whole situation in my head now. I'm like, wow. So at the end of the day, if she was a victim of some sort of assault or trauma, I feel terrible for her. And it seemed like said she was getting help for that and going through therapy for that, and that is really the only thing you can do in that situation. And if that's the truth, then I'm so sorry that happened to her, but that doesn't excuse or negate doing other bad behaviors, if that makes sense. And if she's not telling the truth about that and she's part of that 2%, that do lie about allegations like that, then she's even more disgusting than I already think she is for the other beliefs that she holds. And that's just that. Like, if that comes out, it's hard to prove those types of things. I guess we'll never really know the circumstance between those two, the co-star that she was talking about. But if that's not true, then, and she's just using it as a manipulation tactic to cover her ass to save her makeup brand, I'm disgusted with that, obviously. I think as far as the anti-vax thing, I don't think she's vaccinating her kids. I think she really just made this to try and get everyone to stop hating her so much. And I think it really, really, really backfired. I actually came out of that video disliking her even more than I used to. I just hope what people take from this is to not follow in what she's doing. If you have a big following and you're not going to vaccinate your kids, first of all, rethink that decision, but also just like don't spread that to your young audience. Just don't. It's really just annoying to see that rhetoric being even further spread. All right, so the other thing I want to talk about, which is just insanity, is the Olivia Jade, Lori Loughlin, her Aunt Becky from Full House, and Felicity Huffman and other really, really rich people. Essentially, it's coming out and there's lawsuits going on against them for buying their children into a college. When I first read the headline for this, I was just kind of like, because I feel like it's been common knowledge that celebrities and rich people pay for their children to go to college and like pay to get them into prestigious schools for a long time. There's literally been books written about really rich parents buying their kids into Ivy League schools. The current someone who holds a very high position of political power in the United States, Jared Kushner, who's married to Ivanka Trump, he literally had a book written on how his parents bribed his way into Harvard. Like, this doesn't really seem new, but then I kind of learned the depths of it, and I'm like, wow, this is so annoying. So I'm a college student. I'm currently going to school for social work. And fun story, I guess it's not really fun, it was terrible at the time, but I actually got denied from the college that I'm at right now. Yeah, interestingly enough, I got denied because the first time I tried to apply, my GPA was not high enough because I had had some stuff happen. My GPA was pretty low. So I actually had to go to a local community college, which is a 2-year college, to get my grades up in order to be accepted into the college and then coincidentally the program that I'm at right now. So I got to where I am today because of a lot of hard work and determination to do what I wanted to do in life. So does it really, if you guys don't know what's going on, first of all, I'd be shocked, but basically Aunt Becky from Full House, Lori Loughlin, I think her name is, paid $500,000 to get both of her daughters into USC, like bribed the USC people to let her in. And I guess there was a situation where they basically said she got a crew scholarship, even though she wasn't on the crew team and never rode. Which was like, what? That's basically what's going on. They're getting, sentenced, and it's like this really big thing that's happening right now. And everyone's kind of just like, well, what's going on with our education system that it's that corrupt? For me, it's like, does it piss me off that somebody who is super rich could just buy their way into something that I had to work incredibly hard for? Yeah, like it does. And because of what I know about the way our society works, am I particularly surprised by this revelation that the super rich are paying the way for their kids to go to college? No, I'm not surprised at all. I'm surprised nobody knew about this sooner, to be honest. The super rich have been buying their way into everything ever since money was created. Like, money can buy you whatever you want, including getting, membership into anything. I think where this becomes something that's super annoying beyond just like what I know about how our country is so corrupt, like what becomes even more annoying is the fact that this young girl, Olivia Jade, who is a YouTuber, the one that got in on the rowing scholarship, she's a YouTuber and she has like 1.4 million followers, I think. She's got a lot of followers. There's videos now coming out. She didn't even want to go to college. She literally wanted to go to USC because she wanted to go to frat parties and she wanted to go to football games. There's videos of her saying this. She didn't even want to go there because she was like, Mom, I really want a top-notch education, but like my grades from high school just aren't good enough. So I just need your help like getting into this school. It was like, Mom, I want to go to dope parties. So can you pay $500,000 so I can do that? It just blows my mind. And honestly, like if this girl was doing well enough on YouTube and like she didn't want to go to college and like it wasn't for her, college isn't for everybody. Like whatever, if you're not bright enough, or it seems like she's not. I don't want to be rude. It just seems like maybe she wasn't the brightest bulb, and that's why she didn't get into USC in the first place on her own merit. This girl didn't even want to go to school and then took the place of someone else who could have earned their spot. Like, because the way college admission works is there's only really a certain, especially with high-ranking schools like this, and this is why people are so mad. It's not just like, oh, she got to do something easier than I did. It's she took the spot out of somebody who was actually deserving, because the way top colleges work is they have a set number of people they're letting in, and then that's it. They don't vary from that because it makes them look more prestigious. It makes them look more elite if they only let in a certain number of people. So her and her sister and all the other rich kids that paid their way into college took up a space from somebody who deserved it more. And also, since they got spots on the rowing team, it's incredibly possible that they not only did that, but they took away a spot on a collegiate team, very, very prestigious school that athletes work for. I wasn't an athlete in high school, so like I don't really, that was just never my thing. Like I've always been more of a theater kid. However, the athletes that I know, we had one kid and he worked so hard to get there. So she took that spot from someone on the crew team who worked their entire life to be able to go to school and be on a collegiate rowing team. She took that spot and literally, instead of being grateful that she had the opportunity to even be there, posted numerous videos about how she didn't even want to be there, how she didn't even want to go to school, how her parents were forcing her to go to this college. It's just disgusting. It'll never not disgust me what million and billionaires do with their money. People are way too rich. And a lot of people are saying, well, I don't think Olivia Jade knew. And it's like, she was there on a rowing scholarship and she's never rowed a day in her life. Of course she knew. Like, she got privileges at USC that other students didn't. She missed the whole first week of classes because she had to go to Fiji for like a trippin' with tart trip or something. Like, what? Of course she knew. She knew. She's old enough. This isn't like an elite kindergarten. Like, this girl knew exactly what was going on, and instead of trying to maybe be a little bit humble about it, literally posted videos to the internet talking about how much she hated college and how much she didn't want to be there. It's just elitism at its finest, like, honestly. So in the aftermath of all of this, her mom got taken in by the FBI. She's getting indicted. Like, she got released on a $1 million bond. I very highly doubt that she's actually going to do jail time for this. She's rich enough to get her daughter into school. Like, she's rich enough to afford a really good defense team. I really highly doubt she's going to do jail time. She's probably going to end up having to do like community service and like pay a fine. And this Olivia Jade girl isn't in any trouble really. However, both her and her sister dropped out of USC, which was the school they got bribed to go in, which the fact that it was even a choice for them to drop out in the first, like the fact that it was like, oh, they chose to drop out instead of they got their asses kicked right out of this place. You can tell I'm getting pissed about this because it's so annoying. The fact that they even like had the choice to like stay or leave is so annoying, because the second you realize they shouldn't be there, they should be freaking out. Like, they should be out the door immediately. The school should have issued a statement condemning them immediately, but whatever. Like, the fact that they even had the choice is ridiculous to me. I don't really know anything about her sister, but Olivia Jade is a YouTuber, as I said, who I guess had a palette with Sephora. I'd never heard of it, but I guess she did. And that immediately, like the Sephora collection, they've stopped selling that immediately. She's getting dropped from all of her advertisers and sponsorships. So she is facing consequences for this, and I think whether a 18-year-old who maybe didn't understand, who grew up in this world of privilege and didn't comprehend, should be getting these punishments, I think most people will be like, well, maybe she needs to learn from somebody who isn't her parents, because obviously her parents aren't teaching her the consequences of her actions. Some people like me would probably say that. That's basically the whole ordeal with Olivia. Basically the super rich being the super rich, but even crappier than usual. It's an interesting situation. Both of these situations are interesting because normally, I obviously like talking about YouTube stuff because I make so many videos about it and I like talking about like drama and topics, but normally when we talk about these topics, they don't have a higher meaning. Like there's not typically, there can be, but this one is super, super, super reflective of macro issues that are happening. Rich kids complaining because they didn't get into schools because of affirmative action, which if you guys don't know what that is, it's basically white people just dominate right now. So affirmative action is this idea that, you know, you're letting people in and you're giving people an equal chance to be accepted, and you're trying to kind of even things out so that you have equal representation. So a lot of times rich kids will say, well, I didn't get into Harvard because of affirmative action, because somebody who was African American took my place, which is racist and terrible. It's probably because you didn't have good enough grades, but like whatever. But then now we're finding out that maybe it wasn't somebody like, it wasn't an African American who took your place, girl who was white, who was even richer than you, that took your place. And it just kind of shows the insanity of the rich. That's basically what I think. I hope you guys can give me some insight to what you guys think about these situations, because they're pretty insane. A lot of crazy stuff happening, and if you guys want to tell me in the comments what you guys think about these two situations. I'm really interested to hear your perspectives on this, because I kind of know where I stand on both of these, but I'll be interested to hear what you guys have to say. And yeah, if you like this video, please like and subscribe, or just subscribe, or do me there. I'm honestly just so happy you're watching me. Thank you so much for being here. My merch, my social media, and everything I'm wearing on my face will be linked down below. And yeah, I think that's everything. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!